What's up, baby? Today's show is sponsored by Southern New Hampshire University. Yeah, we talking about proper preparation. We're talking about trying to be better at life. How can we improve, right? Whether we're talking about just as an individual, how do we improve if we're talking about in the job space? I mean, whether we're talking about just all the different ways to be prepared for the next step, for that next task. Southern New Hampshire University and some of these online degree programs that they are offering. Come on, baby. You can't beat this. And they have super competitive low tuition rates that are, like I said, going to prepare you for whatever your next steps might be as it pertains to your professional career. It's not too late. I mean, shoot, what you waiting on? I mean, you're watching me, but what you waiting on? Come on, man. You see the link right there, right? snhu.edu/Arthur Moats. Tap in and go out here and get a chance to prepare yourself for greatness. But now it's time for regularly scheduled programming. As I was, doing what I do on the research tip, man, we did see where GP was doing an interview and he was asking him, quarterbacks, Rodgers, and specifically when he talked about Aaron Rodgers, said, my man, that's the dream teammate. The guy that, that he could see. That's the vision for him. I was like, man, the dream teammate, Lord. I said, of all people, GP, you want to go with that? What? I mean, I don't hate it now. I don't hate it. And, obviously, when you're talking about my man TG, he also, at one point in his life was very fond of Aaron Rodgers. Now, we know since then, last time we talked to him, he wasn't as fond. But with GP, George Pickens, saying that is his dream teammate, that is the guy that he would prefer, if he could just pick whoever. That's the part where I do question, or I am going to question my man TG and be like, hey, bro, knowing that this is technically your number one receiver, how much say so does he have? How much should that matter when you got a GP saying that, yeah, Aaron Rodgers would be, the dream ideal teammate for him based on the different quarterback options that are available? To me, I can see why he would say that. I could also see some reasons that I personally feel like he might be a little bit, just short-sighted or narrow-sighted with it and not looking a little bit more big picture, big broader. But in terms of why GP could, be viewing Rodgers as that dream teammate, I mean, you think how old GP is, man? He grew up in the people's champ, how Rodgers was discount double checking on folk, man. GP was here for that. He remember being alive for that. He seen that. That bad, man, the MVP on MVP. You know how Rodgers had a run now. Rodgers, he was on. So I'm sure if you were growing up and you're in that time frame and you play wide receiver, yeah, you look at Rodgers like, oh, this dude could do it all. He make all the throws. He always sees you, man. This dude, he's a winner. You know what I mean? He knows how to compete. And he puts up numbers. Like, he scores touchdowns. So I was like, yeah, if you're a wide receiver, I could for certain see what could be appealing about Aaron Rodgers to GP. You also said to yourself, man, he's probably the most proven quarterback outside of Russ that GP has been around at this level, at least. So that's the other part. And league-wide, we have all felt just career versus career that Rodgers had the better career than Russ. So that could be the other part where for GP, he's like, yo, bro, hey, man. Is Aaron Rodgers, like from a talent standpoint, from a production standpoint, from, all-time status standpoint. Yeah, that's one of them dudes that for a lot of wide receivers, you would be intrigued by. He's a part of that. Were you the best in the league during your time frame? He was a part of those conversations. When you bring up the Big Bens, the Tom Brady's of the world, the Peyton Mannings, Rodgers is a part of that convo as well. Rodgers is a part of that mix, man. Some people have them higher. Some people have them a little bit lower, just depending on what your criteria is. But there are a lot of people that still view Rodgers as one of the all-time greats. So when you're thinking of that in your GP, I could definitely see why you would say that, why that of all the quarterbacks that are available, he would be that guy. I mean, if we compare Aaron Rodgers to the field, you got Aaron Rodgers versus Sam Darnold. Up until this past season, nobody would have even entertained that conversation. Real, right? If it won't for what Sam Darnold just did in Minnesota this past year, nobody would even entertain the conversation of who would you rather have at quarterback, Sam Darnold or Aaron Rodgers. So that's why Rodgers be in that convo for a player like him. We talk about Justin Fields. Prior to Justin Fields coming to Pittsburgh, once again, who would you rather have, Aaron Rodgers or Justin Fields? It would have been a very, very, very small list of those quarterbacks or people saying that prior to, obviously, the 6 games from Fields. And then we obviously saw what happened in New York as a whole this season. But he's still one of those guys where it's like, that would be a debate. It's people internally that feel that Russ, they would rather go Rodgers over Russ. I mean, I forgot who we were talking to on the show. Man, we had that convo where it was like, all right, you cannot like Rodgers as a person. You cannot like Rodgers' temperament. You cannot like Rodgers, how he presents himself. But remove your feelings out of it and just cut the tape on and compare his tape to the other guy's tapes. And that's the part why Rodgers is heavily a part of them combos still. Why a guy like Rodgers hitting the market with the cost barrier being taken out of it has really, put this situation in where he does look more promising. He does look more excited, man. Whereas if you don't, you know what I mean? Like, typically Rodgers isn't even in the combo because he's going to cost too much. And that's the same thing that we would say with a guy like Russell Wilson. But when teams decide to release these type of players while they still are owed money, now it changes what you have to pay for those guys to come in. And Rodgers is still talented enough that a guy like GP would be intrigued by it. If we're going to compare Aaron Rodgers to, let's see, who else we talked about on the show? Daniel Jones. We literally just did a whole show yesterday, man, talking Daniel Jones, right? That was the talk, right? Daniel Jones has interest in the Steelers. Steelers have interest in Daniel Jones. I know if I open up them phone lines and I say, who would you prefer a quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Daniel Jones or Aaron Rodgers? Boy, y'all be over here. Rodgers. So, as we sit here, it is still very legitimate and very realistic that Aaron Rodgers could be that guy, could be that quarterback, man. So if you GP, once again, I can see the appeal. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that he's my priority at quarterback. I'm not saying that he's the guy that I would want over all these other guys. But if I'm GP, I can definitely understand the appeal of Aaron Rodgers being your quarterback. 1,000%. 1,000%, man. Hey, and shout out to Jay. Jay said he wants Daniel Jones over Aaron Rodgers. Hey, salute to you on that one, man. I wish your squad nothing but the best. Just, I don't want you on my squad. That's all I'm going to say. But I wish your squad nothing but the best. So, yeah, man. But that's the thing, though, with Rodgers. It's like we get focused on the persona. We get focused on how he comes off. But if we're just simply talking about a play part, yes, there are a lot of things that he still does very well in comparison to some of these other guys that are available. Now, we do understand, though, there's a lot of baggage that comes with them as that off-field stuff, as we're talking about locker room chemistry, how he handles the media, him, Coach Tomlin, power struggle. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into why, even with the talent, there are still some times where we're like, yeah, I don't want to necessarily deal with that. I don't necessarily think I want that player here around these players with that type of mindset. To me, I can also understand that, and that's part of where my stance is. When I think of Rodgers, I think of just everything that comes with him. It's a lot. I think of how he gets when he's not happy or if he's not pleased. It's like he started, making it look like he rocked the boat internally, man. I don't personally like that type of stuff, man. I want you to, hey, man, when it's going good, we here, but when it's going bad, you still here. Don't check out on me when it gets rough. No, we got to get through the mud together, and then we're going to shine together. But if you ready to cut bait or you starting to get all, temperamental on me and stuff like that solely because of you not being happy with the situation right now, it's like, bro, we ain't on the same team here. We're not on the same page here. So, like I said, that's the part for me that makes me hesitant on him, that makes me not like him a lot. But that's the stuff that I say I think is, if you're not looking big picture and you're just talking play, and that's why I said if you're GP and you're just looking at on the field, Yeah, there are a lot of things that are going to make you be intrigued about Rodgers, whether you're talking or the history of him, or even some of the stuff that you've recently seen in comparison to the other options. And like I said, for GP, I can understand it. Not saying that I agree with it. Not saying that I agree with it. Because like I said, he's a lot. Aaron Rodgers is a lot. But I can for certain understand where he is coming from with that kind of perception, man, with that kind of mindset surrounding Aaron Rodgers, man. So we will see. Like I said, man, we're gonna ask the homie TG about that though as well, because that's TG's man. TG, he like both of them dudes a lot. GP and Rodgers. And for GP to be saying that that's the guy that would be his dream quarterback, it does make you wonder, how much input should he have? How much input does he have? I feel like for some teams, wide receiver has all to say, man. If that wide receiver is like, bro, I like this quarterback better than that one, man, they're going to make, the necessary adjustments. And then we see times where that wide receiver could be like, man, I like this quarterback. Like, we don't care what you like. Sit down, shut up, get open, catch the ball. All right. So that's the thing for me that I do want to see how the organization is and how much potential influence GP has. Now, part of me can see this thing going completely great. Oh, man, you get Aaron Rodgers in here. He's humble. You got GP in here. He's happy. Those two dudes match made in heaven. And it's the second coming of Rodgers and Devontae Adams Green Bay Packers style, right? Part of me sees that. Part of me wants that. Part of me is like, oh, yep, we'll get that. GP's 1,400-yard receiver, 10, 12 plus touchdowns, man. We are living life. And then, unfortunately, I'd be like, I don't think this the video game. I don't think it's going to work like that. I don't think it's just in my imagination how everything just goes perfect. No, I think it's actually a lot more nuance in that thing. And yeah, this could become a completely toxic relationship. It could become completely, catastrophic, nuclear. And yeah, it could definitely do all of that type of stuff. And that's definitely the flip side of the stuff that I think of. I'm just like, dang, if we go that route, and it gets that bad, man, we talking about a couple years potentially of getting that out, getting them contracts off the books, and then trying to figure out how we're going to get the right people in here that ultimately, do what we need to have done going forward, man. But yeah, man. So with that, though, that is the thing that with GP, though, man. I said I can understand where he's coming from. Young player. He grew up during that time, man, where he saw a lot of Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers. Hard to go against that. I mean, shoot. You think about some of the quarterbacks that we're all fans of, man, that we grew up watching. We still swear by some of them dudes to this day. Still to this day, you be like, bro, that dude ain't played in how many? Man, he still got it. He's still nice. Because you grew up watching, man. That's who you connected to. You got those connections, those emotional feelings too. So, it's a part of it. And I do think for GP, Aaron Rodgers is one of them dudes for him that, they don't have that type of feeling, man. So I could dig it. Shout out to the homie Tim Robinson. He says a 421-year-old quarterback. No thanks, man. But y'all told me QBs age like fine wine. They can play till they 50, 60, 70 years old, man. Quarterbacks don't age out. Yeah. So Rodgers ain't too old. He just in his first, second, third, maybe his fourth prime. He in his fourth prime right now. But, he ain't too bad, though. He still got the juice. But salute to y'all, man. Y'all hit that like button one time for the culture. Don't forget to subscribe either if you are new to the channel, man. That boy said, nah, man, I'm good on Rodgers. I ain't got no time for the Rodgers, man. Dang gone.